Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Thursday, August 12th, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever been introduced to. These tools are available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the Start Here link in the upper left-hand corner, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? That chapter of that book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. It's a tool I've used to great effect over the past 17-plus years to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships. It's also a tool I've been able to use to turn any negative emotional state into part of the infallible guidance system that each of us have been gifted. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Click it, download it, print it off, and use it as often as you'd like. You can also go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness and get access to a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even young audiences. You can also download a host of audio files of shows just like this one where people have been stepped through that worksheet process or talked about how positively the actual use of that tool has been in affecting their lives. You can also download a 24-and-a-half-minute PowerPoint presentation created by Bill Costantino, which will take you deeper into the workings of that tool and how it works and why it works as well as it does. And we hope people do that soon and often because that usually promotes questions, comments, answers, testimonials, and you can share those with us at 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, it'll put a little question by your phone number, and I'll see that and announce you by your area code. Alternatively, you can email Jeanie at jeanie@whyagain.org, and or you can email me at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org, and we'll be happy to address your comments or questions on the show. And if you can't listen live, you can listen through the archives. It's another wonderful free resource available at whyagain.org. Today's Thursday, and so we will have a support group, 6:30 to 9 p.m. Central, and the information about that is at mindshiftersacademy.org. We're also doing the Course in Miracles lessons this year, so today is the 224th day of the year, and today's lesson is God is my Father, and He loves His Son. The Creator is my source, and creation loves its offspring. My true identity is so secure, so lofty, sinless, glorious, and great, holy, beneficent, and free from guilt. It is so much so that heaven looks to it to give it light. That's my true nature. Heaven looks to my true nature to give it light. My true nature lights the world as well. It is the gift of creation to me, the one that I give to the world. There is no gift but this that can be either given or received. The gift of creation is all there is. This is reality and only this. This is illusion's end. This is the truth. And then they offer, my name, O Father, is known to you. I have forgotten it and do not know where I'm going, who I am, or what it is I do. Remind me, Creator, now, for I am weary of the world I see. reveal what you would have me see instead. And then the Pam Grout Course in Miracles experiment book says, chapter 224 is titled, A Case of Mistaken Identity. She quotes Dave Mason as saying, I can't just sit here vibrating with my own joy. I have to write about it. I have to share it. Pam Grout writes, a tribe I visited in Namibia gathers for a special ritual when a mom-to-be is 7 months pregnant. They dance, they sing, and most importantly, they consciously ask about the to-be-born baby and what his or her purpose is for this human lifetime. All again today to mention what I mentioned probably for the first time yesterday, which is it's like being aware of a 5-mile-an-hour wind that's a headwind when I'm trying to, walk or ride my bike or drive my car to a certain destination. I can become aware of the wind and not have it push me in the wrong direction. Well, awareness has that kind of liberating ability or power related to all of my thoughts and emotions.
Nice. So, I have another thing I wanted to ask you, but I wanted to make sure nobody else was wanting to come on.
Okay, the runway's clear. You're clear for landing. What do you got?
I did this 9-day novena to St. Jude. I had told you about it, and I finished it. Would it be okay if I read it to you? Because I have questions embedded here and there. Have you ever read a novena prayer?
How long is it?
It's a few paragraphs.
Okay, go
Maybe
ahead.
It's too long. Okay. Novena to St. Jude, desperate situations and hopeless cases. Now, that's the mindset set up right there. Okay. Most holy Apostle St. Jude, faithful servant and friend of Jesus, the Church honors and invokes you universally as the patron of difficult cases, of things most despaired of. Pray for, and in my case it was Jonathan. Intercede with God for me. Jude is like an
shoring up some of the parts of your own self-reported mental health check-in that might benefit from support. And this is from a major construction company that's global that decided
in help of heaven in all his necessities, tribulations, and sufferings, particularly, and then you fill in, and I filled in, for his anxiety, depression, faulty thinking, and bursts of anger against his Son, that he may praise God with you and all the saints forever. I promise, O blessed St. Jude, this is where I get into a little trouble.
Be like Jesus by mimicking his behavior. You have to be what he was internally. You have to understand the whole process. Michael Rice likes to talk about idiom, the phrase from the ancient Aramaic that said, eat my body and drink my blood. And all that meant was, it didn't mean some barbaric ritual of cannibalism. It simply meant learn everything I've learned. Learn to question everything I've questioned. Learn to think about things as deeply as I've thought about them. Learn to observe and question and ask to be taught the way I'm learning and questioning and asking to be taught. And Anthony DeMello says, if a monkey sees a person blowing into a flute and playing the flute, sees a musician playing a flute, and the musician puts the flute down and the monkey comes over and mimics it and blows into the flute, that doesn't make the monkey a musician. You can mimic your guru, and that's at mindshiftersacademy.org, and that is also free. If you would like to join us, 6:30 to 9 p.m. Central, or you know someone who could benefit from it, participation in a group like that, please pass the information along. And I have reached out to the author that was recommended by Ellen, Richard Moss. It took a little digging, but I finally found a website for contacting him that was not Amazon and the Amazon page. And basically the contact form is for somebody who wants to retain their services as a coach or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. But I submitted the application and or the intake form, contact form, and we'll see if we can get a rise out of them and if Dr. Richard Moss will agree to be interviewed. Again, Dr. Moss has several books. One of them is The Mandala of Being, and that's not the primary book that Ellen was referencing is a different book than that, but you can find him on Amazon and find his books, and as we were talking about, so it's a very useful practice, even though your literal mind says, well, there's nothing to allowing it because it's already happening.
Yeah, I get it. And I didn't ever, the resistance word, I hadn't thought of that way, Dr. Tim. That's very helpful. Okay. You say whenever. Yeah, you said what? Many times. Whenever you're upset, you're.
So, I've said this before. Even though we've got lots and lots of time that we spend talking, and we've got lots and lots of recordings of people saying words about this process or that process or this experience or that experience, the point of this work is not the words. The point of this work is not the talk. The point of this work is the experience. I had the pleasure this morning of interviewing Steve Michio, and Steve has become a leader in the peer-led mental health world. And the core thing that gives him so much value is that he has lived the experience of having a mental health crisis and being labeled as bipolar and being hospitalized and force-fed medications. It's the lived experience that is enlightenment. It's in the moment awareness that is enlightenment. It's not words about those things. So all of these words, all of these experiences we're sharing are like the finger pointing toward the moon. They are not the moon. I can't decide I'm going to become aware or be enlightened if I just do enough worksheets and then just engage in a rote process of filling out worksheets without asking to be shown in each worksheet, without canceling, literally working at figuring out what does it mean for me to cancel my goal, my need to be right, so that I usher myself into a different experience, that I let go of the vice-like grip I have on my sense of self or my identity or my need to feel important or my need to have people view me in a certain way. It's only in the process of changing my relationship with those ideas and beliefs and cravings that I get ushered into a different experience. And that's what this work is about for us, is giving people the tools that they can use to usher themselves into a different experience of life. And it takes willingness, it takes application of the tools, it takes the willingness to address one's own fears.
I am weary of the world I see. Reveal what you would have me see. I feel as if I love that because it's an acknowledgement of not knowing and maybe some hopelessness, some depression, all kinds of things, but then it's an opening to reveal what you would have me see. So I apologize. I mean, I feel as if I've been an unreliable co-host, even though you never set it up in a formal way, and you've been great, and you always have great shows anyway, and you read wonderful stuff, and it's wonderful to just listen when I can, and all the new material that's coming in. So there's that. And we had a family reunion that was one of the most inspiring and beautiful and loving reunions we've ever had. It's as if my son's cousins, there are several cousins in that, in the age of kind of 35 to 55, and then lots of aunts and uncles. And we had 22 people at our family retreat, and out of about 35 possible attendees. And the discussions were, I felt as if this is what heaven must be like, except you wouldn't need to discuss these things because you'd be in heaven. And they were basically people talking about where they are in their lives, what they've learned, but all of it within a tremendous amount of appreciation from one another and love for one another. And one of the people there was my son, who is one of the reasons I just went down for the count. I was just watching him go through what one of his most wonderful cousins said is, you are both going through a midlife crisis and you're in a field that is just struggling.
Almost made me pass out. And so I said, what almost made you pass out? Just mentioning this event? And he said, yeah, it's just like a wave of emotion that was so strong. Literally something that happened, let's just say that, he's 36 now, he's 8. When he's half his age, it happened 18 or 20 years ago. And just in mentioning it, the emotional energy was so strong that he couldn't finish the sentence and felt like he was going to pass out. So he immediately moved into doing an energy work experience around that, which is very, very similar to the worksheet process. Cancel everything that you believe about that. Cancel every goal you had at that time. Cancel every goal that you hold for yourself now. And just ask to be shown what the heck, in terms of thoughts, in terms of beliefs, in terms of energies, did you download into your energy system when you were 18 years old and this event happened? And it was a gold mine of labels, negative labels for himself, ways in which he had unwittingly strengthened or crystallized negative beliefs about himself that began from back in kindergarten.
Of mad. Anybody and everybody that can trigger that into activity can seem to make you mad. Why can they make you mad? Because mad is there. And if mad is there, it's an energy. And if you pushed it down 1,000 times, there's a very intense high energy wave radiating out from you that says to all the world on an energetic level, hey world, is there anybody that knows how to make me mad? Have you ever noticed there's never a shortage of volunteers? Why is that?
Building the presence and remaining centered and well and finding my own purpose again, I haven't done it. I don't even know what it is. I've lost such sight of it. But anyway, that's my report for the moment. Signing out.
Okay. Well, and I just had a session with somebody who was reviewing her life and thinking about what a failure she is, and we just had the session. And I said, I have to let you know that you're absolutely wrong.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Like it's possible to spin the filter and look at it as though she's a failure, but to do that, she has to ignore, 99.99% of her life. And if she looks at her life and assesses it in terms of what her high school people signed in her, her yearbook that she would be this or that, or comparing herself to somebody else, or comparing herself to some dream she had that said because she has these skills she should have her own business or do. If she compares her life to that, arises in us and how we respond to it, that's part of why I do this work. That gives me keys to a better life. And when I can share that with others and they're willing to do the work for themselves, it gives them a key to a better life.
Structured, it seems, so that if you are holding to a dis-ease energy and you've dissociated from it, someone's going to show up, and that happens through the law of resonance. Someone is going to receive the energetic invitation to come to your life and do to you exactly what you never wanted to have done. And if you tell them what's wrong with them and you get rid of them and you go away and you take the geographic cure, you'll find somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. I feel so blessed the universe reserved the title of my book for me. Why is this happening to me again? Because virtually everybody in the universe has asked the question. And, probably the greatest atrocity done to us as human beings down through the ages and that we've bought into is that we've had hidden from us the fact that we are by nature creators. Nobody told us that. They told us all kinds of crazy things, but they didn't tell us that through the energetic patterns we engage in, we create our own cellular health and diseases. We create everything that shows up. We literally create the way this piece of plastic called a body-mind unit unfolds and becomes either toward disease or toward health. It depends on what the predominant resonant energy is in your structure. So for people who live in this state of denial,
you're headed in the right direction, spiritually and in your life purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And if your emotions are not pleasant, you're probably not headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
So if you create an assessment of your life that leaves you feeling bad about your life, choose again. It's probably not accurate. It's certainly not
Dr.
complete.
Kim, I'm not feeling badly about my life. I'm not even really, I don't feel like a success or a failure. In fact, I've had a lifetime of amazing successes, and I don't feel that way. What I'm feeling is right now, my purpose has been misguided. It is in some ways it's been guided. To be there for my children, yeah, that's a wonderful purpose. But to think I have to fix them and to suffer if they're not well is not part of that purpose. I'm not really thinking about success or not, or I don't even mean to think about shoulds or not, or maybe I am and it's buried and I'm not even conscious of it. But
and so are you waking up to realize that it's not productive to see yourself as responsible for your offspring's happiness?
Well, when you put it that way, yes, that would be a productive thought, that it would be best not to feel responsible. That's good. That brings it into focus. I have been feeling responsible. But I'm saying, even if I didn't feel responsible, I am sitting here being a witness, not only to my son, who's doing pretty well, he in his own way, and I've got 3 grandsons who aren't in such great shape right now, 3 out of 5 who are struggling, and I am a witness. And I guess I could choose type, it's not a great feeling to be witnessing this. And maybe that's what you're talking about, is the feeling is the clue. There's something not right here. But how could I be joyful in the face of witnessing some serious suffering? I don't know. I don't know whether that should be a goal or anything. And I don't even know if I'm making sense.
You don't know if what should be a goal.
To feel joy in my life while this is happening.
Oh, yeah, well, it's not about it. It should be a goal, but the question to ask is, can it be? Can I find a way? And maybe you can, maybe you can't. But in the questioning, we open up to realize that none of the struggles they're having. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, you talked some time back about the difference between awareness, observation, and judgment. And I think that's just the line that needs to be drawn. I can see what they're doing as best I can, observe, be aware, but not judge. And I have a question in that. When I see a person doing something harmful, I immediately not only observe but judge as something as good or bad, right or wrong. Or, and in worse ways, I'll just have...
As your training has taught you to.
Yeah, that's true. But do you think it's possible, I guess it must be, to just be able to...
earlier and earlier, and release it.
Oh, okay.
And then see the negative impact of buying into it and acting from it, and then choosing differently.
Yeah,
right? So
that's
good.
Let's
say that I was raised in Mexico, and I was raised to think that white-skinned people are mean, and they're stupid, and they're whatever, and that's what I was raised as. And then at some point or another, I see somebody driving a car, and they happen to be not driving a car. I see somebody, and they're in a car that's like in an accident over on the side of the road, and I instantly see the white skin and say, "Oh, that person probably caused this."
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just it's gonna happen. Those white-skinned people never know how to drive, and they're always creating suffering in the world, and so it's going to happen. That thought's going to come into my mind. It's also possible for me to become aware of that thought as part of the automatic conditioning, and chuckle at it and say, "Oh, look, look at that's happening," and oh, that's silly because I don't know anything about how that person got in that accident and who caused it. So that's our job. Our job is not to dismantle all judgment. Our job is to become aware of the judgment and aware of what happens when we buy into the judgment, we take it as truth, and we let it inform our actions.
That's good. So the conscious logical mind is useful for many things. Yeah.
Yes, and it does what it's been trained to do quite reliably. So it's been trained to judge. And the observing mind can learn, and we can choose to spend more of our mind energy in the observer position.
Mm-hmm.
And as we do that, we soften the grip of that process of buying into the conscious logical mind and all of its judgments. We don't end it. Go ahead.
In the Course in Miracles, it says that if we are depressed or we don't feel well, we have been attacking. We have attacked. I don't know which lesson that was, but that makes total sense. So this is a way to feeling better. if we step back and observe and withdraw the judgments, we may find ourselves feeling better. Yeah.
Probably.
So, yeah.
There's another lesson I've quoted a few times recently that says, we need only return to the original error in thought in order for all of the negative effects of that thought to be dismantled.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the judgment. It's an automatic process. If I have enough of my mind energy focused on my observer self, I step back and I say, oh, look at that. I'm judging that this person must have done something wrong, and that's why they're in that situation. And I can observe how that thought and the energy that comes up in it is so tense and negative, and how that feels in me if it starts to formulate an emotion. And I can just take a breath and step back and observe it, and as soon as I do, it loses its power over me.
Yeah. Say more. What struck you?
Look,
come
on, yeah. You're a human being living a life.
Yeah.
You've got kids, you've got grandkids, you've got kids that aren't kids anymore, you've got, radio show stuff, you've got friends that you're trying to connect with and friends that you're trying to hold boundaries with, and you've got finances, and you've got your sexuality, and you've got the politics and the coronavirus and how can you live up to that, always keeping this focus on this saint? It's not possible.
Wow, I didn't take it that far, Dr. Tim. I just thought that when it popped to mind,
look at what you read. Look at what you read. Please read the last couple sentences again. I promise to do what?
I promise, O blessed St. Jude, to be ever mindful of this great favor granted Jonathan by God, as if it's already done.
Ever mindful. I will never forget this. You will always be in my thoughts. I will always be indebted to you.
Well, I did. I felt like a fraud because I thought, well, I will tell people that I prayed to St. Jude, but am I going to live up to this? Anyway, I got a little nervous about that part, but I went through the whole 9 days. I'm not done yet. You want to hear the rest?
Well, I don't know. Do you understand what I just said about how it sounds like you're making a promise that you can't possibly keep? Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it goes on. So maybe I don't need to go on. I mean, basically it goes on to say, may the most sacred heart of Jesus be adored and loved in all the tabernacles until the end of time. And I thought, well, I wouldn't pray for that. I mean, I would pray for love to prevail. And so I sort of adjusted that part of it. May the most sacred heart of Jesus be praised and glorified now and forever. Well, I made a little adjustment there that the love of God be praised. And St. Jude, pray for us and hear our prayers. Amen. And then you say, blessed be St. Jude Thaddeus in all the world and for all eternity. And I'm thinking, yeah, that sounds good, but I'm not going to be the ones doing all this. And anyway, so there, you got the sense of it. I got a feeling as if I was selling my soul to, doing some kind of proselytizing for St. Jude. It was like making a deal that if Jonathan got some relief.
Okay, but that is what that is. I mean, what you're reading is a prayer that comes from a transactional religious belief system.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, they had indulgences and they had, they had all kinds of mortal sins, venial sins, time in purgatory, time worked off with indulgences that you could buy with good deeds, indulgences you could buy with donations to your church. I mean, it's a transactional system. And you're reading a prayer from that zero-sum transactional system. Of course, it's going to feel like a deal because that's what you're doing.
Okay. All right. Thanks for letting me take you through that one.
And the thing that comes to me there is to say, you know what, there isn't necessarily anything wrong with any of that, except that the trap for you is, once again, that you're taking it so literally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so if you soften it up and you don't take it so literally, then, okay, some pleasant thoughts. And I encourage you to do what you did. You reword it so it makes sense to you. Because, you know, what somebody has in their mind as you as the saint and you as Jesus and the body of Christ and all of that, well, it might make more sense to you because of your personal and spiritual work to say, I'm going to commit to spreading love, and I'm going to commit to hoping that love is in everyone's hearts, not necessarily this saint in that tabernacle, etc. So do that. This is your mind energy that you're directing to try and create something positive in your life, and it's fine the way you want to do it. It doesn't matter how many different religious people out there would say, oh, you're not doing it right. It may not be right for them, and it might be wonderful for you.
Yeah. Well, I did approach it that way, and it was a peaceful thing. I liked doing it. But, of course, I had this thing. If my son would call me coming home from work, and I'd say, how was it? And he'd say, it was utter chaos. They added 4 emergency operations onto the 4 I already had. So I ended up doing 8 procedures during the day, and we were just scrambling. And every day is like that. So he'd call, and then I'd say, well, how did you feel in the morning? Mornings are the worst. He said, I always feel as if I just cannot do it. I cannot put one foot in front of the other. My stomach's upset. I sit on the pot. I have diarrhea every single day. And then by noon, it's beginning to lift. And I'm beginning to think, wrong, you're in error. Whenever you're upset, you're wrong. You're in error. You're resisting.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yes. You're creating the pain, the tension, the anger, the fear, the sadness through your resistance.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that even goes for physical, broken bones and bruises and things. I'm not creating the pain of the broken bone. But when I resist it, when I say, this shouldn't have happened, and doggone it, and why can't they get to the hospital in time, or where's my pain meds, or all of that is adding suffering to the physical discomfort.
Yeah.
And it isn't needed. And those people who have learned to practice that allowance, which basically means catching and then releasing the resistance, they have felt the difference. They've experienced the difference. And that's, back to the intro, that's what this is about. This is about helping people have a different experience. So people don't really understand what allowance is until they practice catching and releasing their resistance, and then they start to have an actual experience that they're creating very differently than what they were doing minutes before or for years before.
Yeah.
So did you hear me talk about the 1 Million Lives project and the check-in that's available free the other day? For you, for your son, for your grandsons, etc. You can just go to this website, oml.world.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
And
yes,
take a free check-in. And pardon me?
I took it. I did it this morning on my iPhone, which is the bad way to do it because it's so small. I had a lot of questions about that, probably too many for the show. I compared it to my score, my ending after not many. I took the personal code evaluation a couple of times. The final time that I took it, according to Michael and Jeannie, I did extremely well. Now, I still have areas of challenge. With this one, I had some serious questions. First of all, my mental health level is fair, and I was answering questions honestly and thinking to myself, well, I'm answering honestly. This shows that I'm really mentally healthy. And they had, what was one question? How much do you use social media? 0, 1 to 2 hours a day? Well, I put 1 to 2 hours a day because I use it. But I don't use it an hour a day, and it was not the truth. But 0 wasn't the truth either. So I think they need a little more detail in there, like.
Well, but listen again.
Yeah.
You're trying to be really literal and read more into it than's there. If you got anything other than fair mental health, I would say that was inaccurate. If you got something better than that, I'd say that's inaccurate. Why? Because look at what you just said in the beginning of this radio show. Look at all that's going on in your life right now. You're stressed. This isn't an intelligence test. This isn't a good or bad value test. This is a check-in for you. You would, if this didn't show that there's some stress going on in your life, then it wouldn't be at all an accurate tool. It would be completely useless to you.
You've lost me. I don't understand what you just said, Dr. Tim. You mean?
Good. There you go. There you go. That means it's right at the heart. So take a breath.
Okay.
And this is a good adjustment for you for the personal code evaluation as well. There's a way in which, and I'm not sure the details and how much, but there's a way in which you're using this as a judgment of you, and it's not.
Yeah, I get that.
So put down the judgment piece. Recognize it and release it. Take a nice, deep, calming breath or two. If you took an assessment like the mental health check-in right now with all that you just talked about has been going on in your life, and it said that your mental health right now is anything more than fair, I'd say it's inaccurate. There's always stuff we can do a little bit better. There's times where we're more high stress than others. But listen to what you just said about your son. Listen to the report that 3 out of 5 of your grandsons are swimming in challenges. Of course you're going to be stressed. Listen to what you said earlier in the radio show about how you still feel like it's your responsibility to suffer if they're suffering, or to find a way to help them end their suffering before you feel happy again.
Thor was right.
Probably. Why?
Okay.
Because you answered it. You provided the answers that go into this assessment. And it's not about value. It's not about you're good, you're doing this good, you're doing that bad, you're smart, you're not good person. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's a way to look at these various areas of your life which might be stressing you or providing you relief from stress and assessing them more accurately. That's all that's about.
And then they give these little links to suggestions, and I think that's great. I haven't done any of them because it was early in the morning and I had to get going, but I love the idea of the whole thing. I am going to send it to a friend of mine who has a daughter who's having some problems, and she might be able to do it. She might not have the focus, but anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing. I'm glad you gave it. I heard it I was driving home from an airport, dropped off a daughter, so I couldn't talk, but I wrote down that MOML.world link. Yeah. Interesting.
All right. Okay. Well, keep up the great work. You're fabulous. You're excellent. You're the best person that's ever been, and you're getting better every day.
Now you're just making fun of me, and I could use that against the whole thing and go right down the tubes, but I won't.
I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm trying to help you see you are succeeding in ways that you are not looking at. And if you shift the filter to that, then at least in that moment, you're not creating all the negativity.
Yeah. I feel as if I'm on a bucking bronco and I'm holding on. That's what it feels like.
But you are holding on. So that's a success at so many in so many ways.
Great.
So try to look
it.
on the bright side, right? And try to look at all the ways
right.
that you're a success.
Okay. Thanks.
Do
Dr.
that.
Tim.
Do that exercise that one of your family members suggested for your son. Go through the alphabet and just, I'm grateful for this, and this.
I'm doing it. Believe me, I am. And it's good.
Okay.
And it's funny.
And a modification of that can be, go and find a positive descriptor of yourself that starts with each of the letters of the alphabet.
Holy mackerel, Dr. Tim. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Every once in a while I say something that's really good.
That's very good. You should put that in the notes. All right. Thank you, as always. T for Timmy. Yep.
You're very welcome. I will mute you so we can make the transition. I look forward to our next contact. Blessings. And I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Right before this show, Jeannie texted me and said they are caught up in something, and so we're doing a replay. So enjoy this replay of the Why Again First Hour Workshop. Thanks, everyone.